So the question that I wanted to present as we kind of get to the end of this segment of the conversation today is, what kind of aid do you think, if you guys, I'm sure you think about this stuff, would be beneficial to you as the pandemic, quote unquote, starts to wind down, as we start trying to find our transition back to life, not knowing obviously when that moment is going to be happening. There's not some magic finger that's going to snap and say everyone's back to work. Kyle and Karen, Sarah, everybody would love to hear if you have any thoughts on that or questions.
Yeah, of course. Well, first off, just so grateful to you, Mr. Schiff and Congress, for getting this $100 a week benefit passed. I know you really championed this, and Pelosi and Schumer also fought for that personally. So we really appreciate that. I mean, we just need this money so bad. Obviously, you hear this story. I feel terrible. It's just been, it just really sucks when it's not your fault. You worked a job, you thought you were doing everything right. You pay taxes on this money. You feel like you should be getting the aid from your government when a once in a lifetime pandemic happens. But yeah, we just really need to make sure this continues to pass. And for any extension, this needs to keep going through so we can get some support. The mixed earner problem, I don't know, I guess UI can't fix it. We need to figure out something in the Build Back efforts, Biden's plan, to figure out some like debt relief problems. I don't know, just something that can help people like us, because even if we are able to get these benefits eventually, like Karen was saying, there's still going to be a mountain of debt. I know for me, my credit rating has now gone down. I just had to put so much on credit cards to try to stay afloat. And those aren't going anywhere. That debt will be here even when our industry's back. Another thing I would love to see too is just an easy website to go to be able to look for grants. I know right now there's so much information. There's so many different things that exist out there, but there's really no central place on a government website to see what exactly you can get. And especially if you're an entrepreneur or a mixed earner, where you can go to find all this stuff. I feel like you have to have a degree to navigate some of these websites right now. So something like that would be great. But yeah, the unemployment system, it just feels very underfunded. It's just been left behind. And I even feel bad for the people that work there that have to deal with us calling, and they don't even know what's going on. These systems are so old. We need to really just reform that. And
Number two, just so you can, if you want to chime in, because right now I'm talking about, obviously the debt that you've accrued relief, dealing with that, finding, centralized locations for data and information. Obviously, like overhauling the unemployment system is a huge conversation, and that's something that we need to have at a certain point. But I think definitely debt relief and centralized information locations. Amber, did you have I want to make sure you get a chance to chime back into the conversation, especially looking at like, boy, if I had my magic wish, if there was something or anything that you'd like to present or put out there, thoughts that you have for the congressman.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Kyle made some really good points. I mean, I think a website dedicated to grants and things like that would be wonderful. I mean, the Paycheck Protection Program was a great option, but you can't do that with unemployment. So it kind of, balances the other one out. So it would be nice if there was maybe some forgivable loans or grants, as Kyle said. Another thing that I know a lot of my colleagues and myself included have, dealt with is overpayments from unemployment. So the last extension, they just continued to pay us, but then they told us afterwards that actually we weren't eligible. But that was an issue with unemployment system that was through no fault of our own. So it would be nice to maybe be able to get some of those no fault overpayments forgiven, because that's just kind of putting us more in debt. I know luckily I had some savings, so I've been able to keep going, but a lot of people don't. So I do feel for them, and it's going to be tough. Who knows when the industry's coming back? We'll just have to see.
Those are awesome points. And so, Congressman Schiff, not to overwhelm you, but to combine those again, I think debt relief, especially no fault debt relief when it comes to mistakes made in the system, and centralized data and information for everyday Americans. Those are two things we'd love to see if you want to share some thoughts with or shed some light on for us.
Absolutely. And I think those are very good, important ideas. Amber, I think it's outrageous that if the government sent you money through the unemployment system, that they're trying to claw it back now. If that was the government's mistake, it was the government's mistake. There are plenty of people who are out trying to defraud the government, which is a very different situation. But when the government itself is the one that makes the mistake, and you spend what little you get sent to then try to say, well, okay, you got to pay us back now, I think that should absolutely be forgiven. And I will look into that issue. I also think that it would be enormously helpful if we could simplify the process of, okay, here are the resources available. If you're in this situation, here are the programs that are available. If you're in this situation, here are the programs that are available. And I did want to mention one resource to you that may not be apparent to you and to people who are watching, and that is your member of Congress. Karen, I wanted to mention, I don't know whether you pursued, for example, the PPP program for small businesses, or there's emergency economic disaster assistance loans and grants. It sounds like you may qualify for some of those programs in addition to the unemployment compensation, because you're also a small business owner, and that might help. Those programs might help you save those two facilities that are so much at risk. So if you want to reach out to my office, we can look into it. We can put you in touch with your representative. My number is 818-450-2900. Our offices are, they're not available for walk-ins because of the pandemic, but we're receiving all the voicemails and emails and following up with constituents. And I would love to try to help people make sure that they get access to some of the help that is out there. And so, reach out to me. We like to have our own constituents to help. So we may refer to you to your own member of Congress, but we can at least give you a heads up that, hey, it sounds like you would qualify for this program. Your member of Congress can't tell, for example, the SBA, you need to give them a PPP loan. But what we can do is we can help you apply. We can make sure we stay after the SBA so they don't, lose your application, or you don't get the runaround by the bank. One thing I will tell folks that are watching, which has been the experience of my constituents, if you have applied for a PPP loan through a small business with a large banking institution and not had any luck, a lot of the smaller community lending institutions are doing a better job. And you can apply to more than one financial institution. You're probably only going to qualify to get one loan through, for example, PPP, but you can apply to several different institutions, and you can take the first one that gets you the assistance. So in any event, don't hesitate to reach out to your representatives. There's also state programs available, so reach out to your state representatives as well. And finally, in terms of loan forgiveness, one aspect of that, which some of you may also have to contend with, is student loans. I'm working to try to have the federal government forgive up to $50,000 in student loans. For me, my student loan payments were bigger than my rent for 10 years, the first 10 years that I was out of school. And but I went into a profession where I could afford to pay them back. I became a lawyer and I could pay them back. And a lot of people can't afford to, or they're not able to follow their passion because their passion doesn't pay well enough to pay back their loans. And
yeah, that was my case for many years. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a real societal cost to that when people can't pursue their dreams because they can't afford to. So in any event, these are also avenues that I would encourage you to pursue and that I'll be pursuing in Congress as well.